Realty Experts. So I am Keith Pitsch, and I am joined today in studio with
Darcy Hardy.
The only, the legend, the myth, the mystery.
Oh, shucks.
Welcome everybody to another beautiful episode. And man, we got a killer show going on
We
today.
do. I'm really excited about today's show. We have our first ever guests.
Yes, our past client.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Who will share with you guys today their journey on buying a house selling a house and buying a new house in this market.
Yay!
Wait, can that be done?
No.
What?
Just kidding.
Wait.
It's completely possible,
It's
everybody.
completely possible. And we are going
possible.
to jump into that journey. But before we do that and before we bring our guests out today, we are going to
Rate the rates.
bam, rate the rates. Here we go. Another month has gone by.
Yeah, what's
right?
happened to the rates?
And I every time I think about rate the rates, I still think about the yodeler on Price is Right that goes up the little mountain that you're trying not to have him fall off the mountain. And so rates are still so rates have gone up again here this past month. So we're looking. January came in and it boom right through the roof because of all the rates. As far as rate hikes, the Fed was talking about deleveraging from their balance sheet, drove rates up, and then inflation. So that drum has continuously been beat since the beginning of the year. And then last week we had the job numbers come out. And the job numbers looked exquisite, right? It looked awesome. And then all of a sudden the Fed, who was just retracting a little bit, was just like, oh, maybe we shouldn't hike up rates. They're like, oh, look at the job numbers. We got to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So now here we are. We're seeing yields on mortgage-backed securities go down. The 10-year Treasury is going up, and inflation is just taking center stage. So that inflation is rates' enemy, nemesis. I love that word, nemesis. So rates are continuing to go up, but I wanted to quantify that, and so what I did. And we're going to post it in the comments here on today's show. I said, okay, a year ago we were selling about 2.75% money on mortgages, right? And today we're doing mortgages at 3.625, assuming a good credit score, 740 or above, 20% down. And I was like, I'm really curious what that payment difference looks like. And that payment difference, so I'm going to set the whole stage for you really quick. Purchase price of $750. 20% down, so a $600,000 loan amount. And what does that principal and interest payment look like? A year ago, it looked like $2,449, right? $2,449. Today, it looks at like $2,736. So we've gone up almost $300. If we do a percentage of change, that's just a little bit over 13% increase in your monthly mortgage payment if you waited this past year to jump into the market. And people, I think, are getting very singular and granular in like, okay, I'm going to use that. I can't buy a house because rates went up.
Yeah, and just think about if they buy now and rates continue to go up.
Which they will, in my opinion.
Inflation continues to happen, and the price of housing continues to rise.
Oh, that's going to happen. So then everything culminates into something different, right? So the other thing that I was looking at is the cost of renting versus buying. And, you know, if we look at where rents have gone, they've gone up 17, 20%. And so you're still losing money. So what we wanted to inspire people today, not only first-time home buyers, but the move-up buyer.
Yes.
And that's why today is such an important show, because rates are going to continue to go up. Prices are going to continue to go up, right?
And with rates going up, can you give us the number on what the payment would be? Let's say we were at like 4 1/4.
Did you look at my presentation?
I might have.
Because that's what I have 4 1/4. I personally, this is my forecast, everybody.
Like, we don't know that it's going there.
Loan Depot does not endorse this number, but I think rates are still good. They're going to peak this year at about 4.125 to 4 1/4. That is Keith Pitsch. That's my forecast, right? I am just a lonely mortgage expert that's done stuff for the last 20, oh gosh, I don't want to say this number, over 20 years. Let's just go with over 20 years.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Because it's 24. So for the last 24 years, I've seen markets go up, go down, and I think where we're going to plateau this year is at 4.25. So if you waited again until those rates got into 4.25 later on in the summer, you're going to go from 24.49, which was 2.75, up to 4.25, which would be 29.51, right? So there's opportunity costs. So we're going to talk about planning your success in real estate. We're going to talk about making sure that now is the time for you, and this is why today's topic is so important, because not just first-time home buyers trying to enter the market. There's a lot of folks sitting on the sidelines that are homeowners today that say, hey, I'm ready for that next house. I'm ready to get the 4-bedroom house and spread out because my kids are now getting into their teenage years and, you know, bunk beds don't work anymore. So,
well, we have a good example, a little bit younger family than that. But Ron and Sabrina, thank you for coming here today. We're so excited to have you. This is a couple, a family that both Keith and I worked with. They were delightful to work with, which is the only reason why we invited them back. What made you decide you wanted to, in a crazy market, sell your place and buy a new one?
I don't even know where to start.
There's a lot of factors, right? I mean,
Yeah.
There was a pandemic going around. We got introduced to the new world of work from home. And then when you're in your house, you get very familiar with it. You're like, I don't think I like you as much anymore. I think it's time to
Exactly.
move on. And
And our kids were getting older. And, you know, at the time when we bought our first place, it was just the two of us, and we had lived in it for, 15 years at that point. It was a 2-bedroom townhouse. I don't think either of us expected to be still in that house 15 years later with 2 kids, right? So the amount of time that we had been spending in the house and just trying to function with 2 working parents and school and everything, it just wasn't working anymore.
Yeah, and I'd say coming in and seeing you living in that house, I don't know how you were doing it, really. It was a lot.
It was a lot. You know, especially because both Ron and I, you know, we are in creative fields, so we were always working outside of the house. Like, I don't think we realized how much we had outgrown it till we were basically in the house 24/7. Because the majority of our day, we wouldn't be gone, right? We just eat, go to sleep, and that was it, right? So we were there all the time, but we were just like, we completely outgrown beyond this place.
So I just want to step back for a second. So you guys got together and you bought your first house, and then you raised the family, and you're diligently working here. And then Ron, you said you got some new coworkers, kids, in your house, and you're like, it's time to check out, right?
Yeah.
That's part of it. I think also too, even going back to when we first bought the place, we actually bought it right before the market just kind of like took a big kind of like a dumper crash or just correction.
Yep.
And so there was a lot of hesitance to move on from that, because I think that was really rough for us. That transition to our first home wasn't necessarily as smooth as we wanted to be. And so we always were looking. We never necessarily had like the confidence or the information to securely make that decision. Like, all right, we're all in.
To pull the trigger.
Yeah.
It was basically not realizing that we could do it, basically.
Oh, interesting.
I do have to. You're right, and interesting.
Thank you.
I do have to agree, because you guys were very hesitant. Like you could tell so much you wanted to make this move, but it was scary since you lost so much equity in the last downturn. Now I know you know many different realtors. You ended up settling with me. You ended up choosing me, I feel honored, to represent you on both the sale of your place and the purchase. Was there something in particular that led you to me instead of all these other people that you know? Because we all know like 10 realtors.
Yeah, I didn't realize how many people I knew were realtors until I was kind of looking for a realtor. Well, you know, Darcy, I love you regardless of this, so I'm going to say that. But I think what was great about working with you is that you were able to present the picture as it is. You're like, this is a crappy situation. However, we're going to get you into the right situation. And I think the honesty up front, and then also knowing that you care so much beyond it just being a situation where you're going to help us find a house. Like, there was purely that feeling of, oh, this person is really wanting to help me and look out for me. And the same thing with you, Keith. Like, as soon as we met you, I felt like, because my situation was so kind of unique, that I didn't feel like I was just anybody. Like, you guys took care of us, and that was really important.
And I think Sabrina knew Darcy a lot better than I did. And I remember even before we decided to go with Darcy, I was like, hey, listen, if I say no to Darcy, is this going to be awkward in the future? Because I have this thing with real estate agents. Like, after the first time, it didn't feel as.
It didn't feel right.
It wasn't like the happy, like, oh my gosh, we got a new house. It was a lot of like instant regret afterwards. And so I was always cautious about it. And I think going into it and having almost like a high bar is like, you know, I'm okay pulling trigger, like just walking away. Like, because I feel like there's a time when I felt like once you get connected with a real estate agent, that's your buddy. You can't leave them. And that was a fair amount.
Ron. You can't leave me.
Yep.
And so I wanted to make sure ahead of time. And I think after just talking to Darcy, even the first time, it's like, I just felt you were very clear. You were listening. And I felt like at the time where the market was still hot, I felt like a lot of people were not taking advantage, but you know, it's a great market for everyone. But I felt like I wanted to make sure that the focus was on our little household and our family. And we found the best partner to help get us where we wanted to go. And I think Darcy helped eliminate all those fears of, you know, it's such a big decision.
What he's trying to say is he loved you from the beginning.
Aww. Love you too, Ron. No, it was, I actually felt that. It's funny that you say that, because when I went in to talk with you the first time, I felt like I was interviewing. Even though I had met you both before, I knew Sabrina from a parent-baby class when our kids were really little, but we hadn't talked too often since. But I really felt like, you know, we've interviewed somebody else. You're being interviewed here, and that's good though. Yeah, that's how it should be, honestly. Were there things, now that you've been through the process, were there things that you would look for in a realtor? Like, if I wasn't here? Because I know you're coming back to me if you ever move again.
Yes. Well, I already told Rob we're not moving ever again.
That's fair.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's a great place.
I love our house. I think, honestly, is just knowing that you figured out, like, how to approach both of us, because we both were approaching it very differently. You knew how to speak to me, you also knew how to speak to Ron. And even when it came to us selecting the house that we had, you were like, no, because remember there was like 2 homes that we were like not sure, and you were like, I don't care what you guys say, I can just see you in this specific home. And I think that at that point we had seen so many homes. Just knowing that you were working with someone who's like, I already know what's going to happen if this is the route you go. Like, I just know your family and know how you work. I know what's important to you, and you helped steer us in the right direction. So it wasn't until like afterwards I was like, oh yeah, duh. You know, like she saw it from that perspective of fresh eyes, whereas I think I wouldn't, you know, I'm not a realtor. This is not my forte. I just wanted to find a place that would help my family grow and be able to build more from. And just knowing that you were that person, it gave me, you know, it gave me peace, you know. And I think for anyone looking for a realtor is just knowing that you are gelling with them and they're seeing beyond your circumstance right now, like they're seeing your future, and being able to communicate that with you is really important.
Absolutely.
I think I didn't mean to jump in, but also like the steadiness of it, because it's such an emotional experience for people that we can make such quick emotional decisions. And I think you're always kind of like this calm and steady.
Yeah.
There's a reason between us, and that helped. And I think also one of the things that we would look for is just someone who's patient with anyone looking to get into a house. Because the market was crazy. Like you just don't wake up like, hey, let's go find a house this weekend. It doesn't work that way. So someone stay very calm and be always positive and be trying to feel like, it's going to be okay. It's a process. We're going to go through it. I'm going to work with you. I mean, it's a long haul. We'll get you home. And that was always a reassuring, kind of confident, patience that I think a lot of people, when you have a big thing to do, really need.
It's a lot more emotional than I realized, because our first experience was buying a home was so different, and it was just Ron and I, and we were new to it, didn't know what to expect. And I think that, having had that experience the second time around, it was, beyond better than our first experience. And just knowing that what to look for, especially anyone buying a home at any stage, but especially as a first-time home buyer. There were things that I remember now thinking back, like, oh gosh, I don't really feel like this person took care of this or that. And I think that's more important when you have someone who's willing to just, lay everything out and work with you one-on-one about it.
Yep. Especially when you're trying to sell and buy.
Yeah.
And our selling situation was so kind of crazy, and it just felt like, please don't judge us, So don't run away.
Well, I do want to jump into that, because there are so many people right now that are staying out of the market because they're in that I have to sell to buy, and you guys were right there. What gave you the courage, or were you just completely tapped out on the square footage of the house, or like, how did that all come to fruition? Was it just sitting around the table like, let's do this?
It was a combination of things, really.
Well, and I'm going to jump in here for a second, because I don't think you were fully in it and confident until after you had a conversation with Keith.
Yeah, 100%. Because we were just like, well, we want to do this. We need to do this. And they always came to, can we afford to do this? Yeah. So it wasn't until our conversation with you, Keith, that we were like, oh, I guess we can actually afford this.
Yeah. We needed to get
Oh, go for it.
We need to get the full picture. I think a lot of times it almost gets compartmentalized, where there's the realtor part looking at the house, and then there's like the financial part of it. Sometimes it's weird kind of like thing when you go to a car dealership and the car salesman, and they put you in the back room, and the financing person is like, all right, now we're going to fleece you. We're going to do this and that. It's like, I just want to see the whole picture. I wanted to feel 100% confident through all of that. And that was really, once it was explained to us, we sat down, and it was just out in front of us. It was like so easy for us to just go back and forth and be like, all right, we can do this. And
what did it for me was our call with Keith as he was in his child's treehouse.
Yep, I was in my treehouse.
That was his office for quite some time.
Yeah, that was my COVID office, away from the office. So
I loved it. It was, because especially just doing everything in such a crazy time, that it just felt a little bit more personal. Like, you're like, this is a convenient spot. This is how I'm going to have my meetings. And you're like, this is mine now, kids. Go away.
Yeah, go away. Bye-bye. Daddy needs his space. So instead of me selling and then buying, I just built a tree house in my backyard.
It's true.
But, I want to share a story about our consultation. Our very first consultation, I put together the mortgage coach, and we went through it. And what I loved about our conversation was, Sabrina, you got it. You were on board. And Ron, you did exactly what I asked you to do, is ask as many questions as possible. And you pulled the mortgage illustration apart. And I love that. I love that you wanted to know how the numbers were working with the proceeds, or what was going to be left from the sale. And if we moved all the money to the house, or if we didn't move any of the money to the new house, how could we make these different options work? And I just have to commend you. Sabrina knew she was around the people, and you went to that next really granular detail of like, okay, which options could we do? And that's what I would just advise everybody to go out there. Please ask every single question. You may be embarrassed. You may think it's dumb, but there's no dumb questions when it comes to buying and selling real estate. We do it, maybe 4 times in our whole life, right? So I just really love the conversations that we had afterwards. And then you guys came back and continued to ask the questions through the shopping process and then through the mortgage process once we got under contract. So, I loved working with you guys because you guys were fearless in asking your questions. So thank you.
And, this is going to bring us perfectly into our myth buster for today. Do you want to put your glasses on?
Are we there already?
I want, because it's perfect.
You want to jump into it right now?
Yeah, I'm going to jump into it.
Okay, let's do it.
Mythbuster.
I'm not putting my goggles on today.
What?
I'm not doing it. You can take one for the team, buddy. Take one for the team. Okay.
This is how duos break up. Come on now. Okay, somebody's got to look
our
like this.
myth
Our myth
is the seller has to take the highest dollar amount.
Highest dollar amount.
Did you think that when we went into this process?
I totally thought that. I 100% thought that.
Yeah.
In this market, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So do you want to know what number they were on the list? I think there were 7 offers.
7 offers. Out of 7 offers.
Yeah.
What number offer were they? Do you guys remember?
I remember.
I can guess between 2 numbers.
You were not number 1 on the highest price, and you were not number 2, and you were you were number 5.
Yeah. Yep.
You had the 5th highest offer.
It was insane.
And I constantly tell my clients, you get the house when it's meant to be, and clearly it was meant to be. They were the next people that were meant to live in this house, but people oftentimes don't realize the seller can choose whoever they want or choose not to sell.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we did some things to make this family feel a little bit better about it. Do you remember some of the things that we did in order to entice them to take your offer, even though it wasn't the highest?
Well, I remember just the communication was very, you were very just like friendly with the selling realtor. We tried to make sure that they felt comfortable with the situation happening. I think they had a family member that was in the hospital.
Their son, their child was in the hospital. Yeah.
Wanted to make sure, Darcy was kind enough to just letting them know, we wiped everything down after we left, we just tried to make it as, comfortable for them as possible and just being nice. I wrote a letter, and I included our photo in it, and I think that was really important. I think we were just really more approachable and nice and just willing to follow the rules, to be honest. It was such a crazy time. I just remember when we had the inspection, we were doing everything at the appropriate time given. And there were maybe 2 or 3 other families waiting to do the exact same thing. There was an inspector on the roof while we were inside the home doing our inspection, and another one all around the yard doing the
circling the property.
It was really crazy. Yeah. And I just think for us, we were just trying to follow the rules and just be friendly and nice, and just knowing the situation was sensitive for that family at the time.
Yeah.
We were just trying to be respectful.
I was going to say also, this one thing I liked about Darcy is that in that market, everyone was not cutting corners, but they were throwing away oh, no inspection, no this and that.
Yeah.
We're going to give all this earnest money, all these kind of things. And even when we were trying to make the best offer, there was a point where it's there was something we weren't necessarily 100% comfortable with, but Darcy's okay, then we'll just do that. We'll bring it back down like that. So it wasn't there's always that fear you're going to get that pressure sales pitch, you're so close. Give them the $25 gift card to Chick-fil-A. I'll throw all these random things in there to make your offer. But it's Darcy kept her cool. Said, okay, well, this is what you're comfortable with. And it's always felt we tried to be as competitive as possible, but we weren't going to break the back or make us go to a point where we would have a regret or just.
Yeah.
I'm going to tee this up really quick, Ron, because I remember you calling me and saying, Keith, can we go to this number? And we talk about this in our home buying classes all the time. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Right. And I commend you guys so much for staying in that budget, staying where you guys felt that you knew you could still provide for the house and put it in the right place. And look what happens. You get your house on your terms.
I was so floored when Darcy called. I think I immediately started crying and gave her on the phone because I was
she did.
Because it was so emotional. And I think also the other thing that was really big for us with this house is that our daughter already went to school in the district, elementary school.
That's huge.
And that was like our one thing that we just wanted throughout this whole process to continue giving her, was the fact that she would get to stay with her friends. So that was beyond the actual getting the home, was just being able to stick to that promise was huge for both of us.
I think the crazy, I don't know if you want to tell us part, Darcy, but you called because they wanted a counter offer.
Yeah, they called me and they said, hey, you guys are in number 5. Can you come up to this number? And we said no.
Yep.
I know. And I was like, yeah, well, okay, so I can try. And then you called me, and then I was like, because it's just such the stress, the buildup. Yeah. And at that point, we had sold our home, so we were like, if this doesn't work, we're going to end up in an apartment for who knows how long, because
it would still be an apartment.
Yeah, actually, they had gone out, and I believe you put a deposit on an apartment.
Because we weren't sure what was going to happen.
But like Keith says, I made sure I knew when the withdrawal was.
I'm like, when did the money leave the account?
Yeah, money back just in case.
Did you ever get the money back?
Yeah.
Oh.
Nice.
He put it in his own pocket.
Well, let's talk about that transition, because you guys were under contract to sell your place, and you were working through that, and then you had a little transition. So did you guys end up moving twice?
Yeah, actually, if you think about it, we moved like, what was it, 3 times?
Yeah.
Because we moved out of our home and stayed with my sister.
Around the holidays.
Around the week of Christmas.
The week of Christmas, yes.
We moved out like December 23rd, and then stayed with my sister for Christmas and all that fun stuff, and then ended up at my aunt's house further south in Tacoma for an additional little over 3 weeks. And then when we moved into the house, it was already like mid-January at that point.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy. Yep. And that's why I told Ron I don't think I can move again, but we'll see.
Made good friends at the storage facility.
Yeah.
Nice.
And actually, we moved during a weekend where there was a huge like wind and rainstorm.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
So we moved into the house in the dark and moved out of the storage unit in the dark. It was quite an experience.
Yeah. In fact, one of their trees in their front yard came down and knocked out the power for the entire street. Yep. And some neighbors cut it up for them before they moved in because they couldn't have gotten to the driveway.
The branches were like, welcome to the neighborhood. This is your tree. They're really nice. But I mean,
our neighbors are amazing. Yeah. I think that's also one of the benefits of being in this house is that we're surrounded by people who've been here like 40, 50 plus years.
Oh, that's cool.
And they are just the most thoughtful, sweetest people I've ever met. And they were just even communicating to us that the family that lived here was really important to them, that another family live in the home and be able to set and grow their familiar roots into the neighborhood. And I think that when they were looking at potential buyers, they were really excited to know it was going to be another family. They were thinking about the entire neighborhood as opposed to just, let me just get my money and leave.
Right. Yeah. Hit the ATM of the housing market and move on. But I mean, that's so powerful. Let me ask this really important question. If you had to go and do it all over again, would you?
Not from where you are right now.
No, from your situation, because what I want to encapsulate is like you guys took the path, and yeah, the path is a little bit of a process, but you guys went through the process. Are you happy with where you ended up?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
I would do it again if it meant to lead me to this place of where I can build and grow.
Yeah.
Then I would.
Yeah, I probably would have done it sooner.
Yeah, I didn't realize that we could have done it sooner. Like, I think just the unknowing of what we could do.
It's fear.
It is totally fear. And then you think like, well, I'm not going to be competitive enough compared to other people because I'm just, you know, a working class person, you know, just trying to provide for my family and move along, right?
Yeah.
And I think we have this stigma where only a certain, only certain people are able to do those things, or just not being able to provide that dream for yourself. I think it's a little bit of, it's a fear thing, and you stop yourself before you actually do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm glad you guys confronted it and just got after it, because congratulations.
Well, thank you. I think it's also just finding the right people to help you figure that out, that you can do that, right?
Yep.
And if we hadn't had both of you, I don't think we would have done it.
Aww. Yes.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
It does.
I know that's so cliche, but I mean, hashtag that. Let's do that.
It's totally true. Honestly, I think Ron and I had explored this quite a few times before we actually pulled the trigger. I think it was really shocking to me that we were pulling the trigger.
I think they were shocking themselves daily until they were like in the house.
Yeah.
Maybe even after that a little bit.
Tell me this isn't happening. Tell me something. It's true.
Oh no, Darcy's calling. This is after we got the house. This is bad news. You're gonna take the house away. What's going on, Darcy? Why are you calling? Like a couple months after we moved in.
I know. Rod was like, okay, 6 months after Darcy calls, it's going to be fine. It's totally
It took you 6 months?
I don't know. It's my mind.
It was his hidden rule himself.
Well, part of the fun thing is I moved at around the same time they did. I moved slightly before, but not much. Yeah. So we were going through some of the home buying stuff at the same time. And I was very easily able to comfort them and answer their questions. Well, I would freak out on my own stuff, and they would be like, Darcy, I can't believe you got that amazing like they would comfort me. So it went both directions. But it's important to know that, because even as a realtor who does this for a living, the emotions are real, and it's so much harder to see in your own life when you have to make the decisions than to be on the outside. So I'm glad we were able to help each other.
And perfect for you. I was just like, this is the best. I'm so excited for you. And I could totally see you turned into me like, what are you talking about?
I did.
And it was fun because at that time it was like, oh, okay, well, she's going through the same human emotions that I am, going through this process. So
exactly.
I love the house that you got. I think it's amazing. It's perfect for you and your family. And I think it gave me hope that I would have that same feeling and find something for myself and have that exact same feeling. And I did.
Yeah, you absolutely did. You found the perfect place for you guys.
Yeah.
You really did.
Well,
thank you so much
for
talking to us today. We really appreciate it.
And bringing your story. I hope it inspires some other people just to take the plunge and talk to people. Get out there with your mortgage person, real estate agent, and put it together.
Yeah, no pressure. We just want you to have the information so you're making the call at the right time for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it comes down to.
So,
because I feel like there's a point where you're Jones and you see other people who ride the real estate market perfectly, buying the low and selling the high. We never were that lucky, but it was just like, we just want a home. We're not trying to ride this thing. We just want a place where we can come home and our kids can grow up in. And we just needed just a support system around us to be like, here's how you can do it, because it's overwhelming and scary. So once that door was open, it's like, oh, okay, let's just take our time and find a place for us. And we did that. And I'm super excited we did. And I'm glad I didn't beat Darcy. I don't like her. And you guys make an amazing team. I think
Yeah.
we're super happy. We haven't had one day of regret, no buyer's remorse at all. So this has been what our first home buying experience should have been.
Yeah. And like even just through the holidays and stuff, we're just like, dang, you think that we would be here at this time when we were going through all this last year? So it was a good feeling to have.
Definitely worked out.
Yeah.
How awesome.
That's super cool. Thank you so much. I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Absolutely.
And I think we're going to go on and talk about being ready for the market some more.
Absolutely. Well, you guys enjoy. Have a great afternoon. And thank you for joining us today.
Bye.
See you later. Wow.
Yeah. I love them. They're wonderful people.
They're awesome.
So much fun.
Awesome clients. And you know, I think one thing that I would just say in closing that just Sabrina and Ron put together a plan. And we've all heard it out there. A goal without a plan is just a wish. Failing to plan is planning to fail, and all the other euphemisms out there that you want to throw out there. But you guys, I think you owe it to yourself. If you've ever had a thought in the back of your mind that I need a house, I want to buy another house, I want to buy my next house, I want to start investing in real estate, your first step is planning. Giving us a call, talking through the numbers, talking through the details, and getting to where Ron and Sabrina got to was that point of it's possible.
Yeah.
When you understand that it's possible and you put that plan into action, boom, things happen. We helped over 100 people this past year between Darcy and I. We helped over 100 people in this market buy a house. You can read all the headlines you want and listen to all the stories you want. People are still buying houses. So if that's you, don't hesitate. Start today and get that plan in place. And then all it is execution from that point forward.
So true. So very true. People just don't know the possibilities. And it goes down to even simple verbiage. I mean, people don't understand so many basics of real estate that it makes a big difference. So you do want to plan. You want to take the time to find the right people to work with.
Find the right people.
And make sure that they have your best interest in heart. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, speaking of which,
how do you find the right people?
Yeah, so the best way to find people is not necessarily their social media presence, although we appreciate social media presence. It's also not exactly a science. You need to find people that you're comfortable with. So I'm going to start off with the difference between an agent and a broker in our state. Do you know the difference?
Agent starts with an A and broker starts with a B?
He is very right. Those are two differences. However, we in the state of Washington, we actually don't even have a legal term for an agent.
Wow.
We are all brokers. All real estate people in Washington state are brokers.
So agent is just a make-believe, like it's
what they
make-believe?
It's
Like
what they
unicorns?
use. They use it in the rest of the country a lot. And in the rest of the country, they use the term broker for like the person that heads up the brokerage, the whole company. For some reason in Washington state, when you get your license to sell real estate, you are a broker. And then if you're going to manage a whole brokerage, you're considered, you have to get a managing broker's license. So it's an additional license. And then you're considered the designated broker. Now that might seem like small stuff, but it's those little details that can make a difference when working with people. Mm-hmm. There's also a rumor that you have to have a commercial license versus a residential license. And not in this state, no. In this state, it's one real estate license. In other states, yes. But there's that many differences between the states that you need to understand what's right for here. Okay. So things that I want you to do when you're considering hiring a realtor is ask them about their experience, their personal experience. And not just say, hey, how long have you been doing this? Find out how many transactions they've done over the past few years, each year. Now, I'll tell you, somebody who hasn't done enough transactions, somebody who's done 2-3 transactions each year, that's not enough to really understand the market. Somebody who's doing like 150 transactions themselves, or 150 transactions themselves, they might not have time to give you their attention. So it goes both directions. You want to make sure that you have a person that has a type of experience that fits your needs. So that's a really, really big piece. Beyond that, see what their take is. Do they educate you every step of the way? Do they just hand you contracts and ask you to sign? Ask them questions. And, in all the time I've been doing this, I've had one person ask me to speak to one of my past clients and talk to one of my past clients and see what they thought about me.
One?
Only one. And frankly, I think that should happen with every single person. I think they should always be asking for that, because we can tell you whatever we want to tell you.
Right.
But talking to past clients is how you find out what it's really like. That's my advice.
Nice. I love it. Let me ask a question.
Yeah. What's up?
Who goes through more pre-licensing education, an esthetician or a realtor?
That's a great question. So I'm going to give you a few different ones.
Yes, please.
Okay,
I love this.
okay.
I love this.
So we have.
And if you're playing along at home, you can answer the
You can
question in the
guess.
chat. Is it an esthetician or a realtor who has more pre-licensing education requirements?
So esthetician, realtor, a manicurist,
Okay.
hair design,
Hair design.
or a massage therapist, an animal massage therapist, not a regular massage therapist, an animal massage therapist. Okay. Anybody have any guess on who has
I can't play this
the
game. I
most?
know the answer.
You can
I
see
know
the
the
answers
answer.
in front of me. Okay, we're gonna start with the highest, a hair design. So,
Wait,
ladies' hair.
the guy that cuts my hair?
No, well, barber's a little bit less. Hair design,
gotcha.
which I'm assuming is more involved than just a barber, is 1,400 hours. Barber's actually 1,000.
1,400 hours. That's over.
education.
That's a half a year. That's over a half a year.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah. Okay, a manicurist,
Okay.
600 hours of education
Nice nails
to
today.
do these nails.
Look at
Now,
those.
I appreciate that education. I certainly do. An esthetician's a little bit more. It's actually 750 hours.
Okay.
An animal massage therapist, 300 hours of education.
I haven't
didn't
seen
know
that at the
that.
community college
Animal massage.
registration pamphlet that you get from like Bellevue College.
I just read it
Where's
quickly.
the animal massage?
I just read it quickly today. I believe it's 300 hours of actual class and then 300 hours of practice,
Whoa.
but I can't attest to that.
Gotcha.
Okay, but to be a realtor, a whopping 90 hours of class.
9-0.
I could
That's not even a month's time in the job.
No, not even. So I could spend months learning how to massage your dog,
But to
but
sell
I
me a
can go
house?
sell you multi-million-dollar properties with 90 hours.
Sweet.
It's a little bit crazy.
But wait, Darcy, there's more.
How much does a lender need, Keith?
Well, obviously, if you guys need 90 hours, a lender would obviously, to deal with all the financials and bank statements and all
It's a
of that
lot.
stuff, we would need a whopping 40 hours of pre-licensing education.
Can you believe
A
that?
whopping 40 hours of not even half your requirement.
And it's so funny because when a realtor or a lender gets licensed, they're like, okay, I'm ready to sell.
Yeah, let's go.
They have no idea what they're doing, and they need somebody who's experienced to guide them through the process. So this is why you need to interview both your realtor and your lender to make sure you feel comfortable with their knowledge base. I'm not saying new people aren't good to go to, because new people
Correct.
can be great to go to as long as they have a team that has that understanding behind them that can walk them through it.
Yeah, what's their support structure? What's their ability to get out there and help you
Right.
follow through on that dream of home ownership or investment properties or what have you? So important, so important. So
Yes. That does not mean, let me just say this right now. It does not mean it's easy to be a lender or be a realtor. It just means it doesn't take a lot of education.
Correct.
Okay.
So you gotta check that out. So, wow, we're quickly approaching 3:00.
We are.
So join us next month on Realty eXperts. I got it right at the end of the show. The name.
The correct name.
Right at the back there. Hello. So next month we are going to talk about
Divorce.
So divorce, it happens. It's part of life. And there's a lot of misconceptions about what you can do in a divorce and how real estate works out in a divorce. So next month, we're going to have on with us a divorce attorney.
Yep.
And we're going to go through, if you are going through that, don't let the hurdle of real estate completely debase you from staying in the market and from executing on your real estate plans. So join us next month for Realty eXperts, and we will catch you then, and enjoy the show. And as always, please, if you found this of value, please share, like, comment, and I'm going to put this out for Darcy and I. If you have any questions, just throw them in the comments.
Throw them in the comments. Give us a call. We are more than happy to help any way that we can.
Absolutely. Well, take care.
Thank
have a
you,
good one.
everybody.